I f***ed up big time. My last live stream, how to create a bootleg, was a complete disaster.
Sorry, I have a blackout. I kind of lost faith in myself for doing this.
But today, I'm fixing that. And if there's two things that I've learned from last live stream, is that I have to be more prepared. I have to choose a bootleg that I'm very confident about and that I'm actually feeling, and I need to be more prepared about MIDI files and current chord progressions and how to integrate them into your current song. And what I'm trying to say here is that it also applies to you. Choose a song that you're very confident about and that you're actually feeling, and gather all the resources before you start working on the project. And that's exactly what we're gonna do in today's video. I'm breaking it all down step by step, and by the end of this video, you know exactly how to create a bootleg from scratch. So, without further ado, let's go straight into it. Alright, so I don't want to give up on last time, so we're going to continue with Don't Speak from No Doubt. It was voted to be the most favorable of the three. We had three options, so we're going to work with this. Okay, so we have the whole song, right? Okay, so what do we do first? The first step is to gather all the information you need. So that means, what is the key of the track? Which key is it in? Step 2, what is the BPM of the track? Step 3, can I get the acapella? Can I get stems? Where do I find the stems? Etc, etc. So gather all the information before we start working with the project. All right, so now we have all the information, which we did not confirm if it's correct yet. We can work with it. So the next step would be to find a acapella. And the way you do that is by also Googling it. In this case, it's going to be No Doubt Don't Speak Acapella, which I could find through a YouTube ripper. You can use that, or find a better download link, or buy it even. It's even a better idea. So in this case, I found the acapella, dragging it here. All right, so now we have the key of the track, we have the acapella of the track, we have the BPM. So now we can actually start working in the project. But let's say you don't have the acapella. Well, there's an FL Studio trick. Let's say you have the full track here. Okay, so over here, there's a small icon, and you can use that to extract stems from sample. Okay, you can choose to extract the drums, instrument, bass, vocals. All right, let's just do everything. All right, so it's finished. So over here, you see the drums, bass, and instruments. Let's listen to it. I don't think you're going to use the drums. The bass would be nice if we cannot find the bass rhythm or the bass notes and we want to replicate it. The instruments, yeah, the main thing what you want to do, I think, extracting these stems, is to find the vocal if you cannot find the acapella. So let's listen to the difference in quality. This is the ripped one. This is the YouTube rip. Yeah, so this is an official acapella, which is always better than extracting. But you know what? If you can do it, this is the way to do it. All right, now we have everything ready. Let's start by making the bootleg itself. How do we start? I would say find out what the melody is, the chord progression, and try to replicate that. Now, how do we do that? Well, you can replicate it by listening to the bass, listening to the melody. That's kind of hard, especially if you're a beginner. Maybe you don't even want to do a melody. So what you can do is go to Google and go to No Doubt Don't Speak. Let's say MIDI. No Doubt Don't Speak MIDI. So now here's a MIDI file, and let's download it. Boom. Click track over here. Put it right here. It's going to ask you a few things. All tracks. These are all the MIDI scores, and channel type, make sure it's Flex. Flex is a plugin from FL Studio, and here's the magic. So now FL Studio divided your whole melody with their own instruments. Listen to this. This is pretty cool. Super easy, so you can just implement it in your own synthesizer and you have all the melodies and everything ready. All right, so let's say you want to work with this, right? Let's say you do want to work with this. Okay, so you see all these colors over here, right? They all represent a different layer within the MIDI pattern. So let's say this color right here, when I press Shift-C, it will select that part, that color. So I can now use this part. Same goes for this color, Shift-C. All right, that's this one. So now through this way, there's also a possibility you can select the layer within the MIDI layer. for example. But again, the other way with Flex is way better because you have everything sorted out. One thing you'll notice after loading up the MIDI file is that it changes the tempo. And I was struggling a long time to get rid of the tempo because every time you play it, it resets back, right? So the way you fix that is go to right click, edit events, Control A, and delete that. You are welcome. Now you can change it up back to 160 or 200, whatever you like. All right, so let's say you don't have the MIDI files. Okay, let's extract the stems. And specifically, I want to have the bass. All right, extracting. So let's say you don't have the MIDI files and you want to make the bass line and you want to replicate the bass line. Okay, let's say we're using this part. Okay, what we can do is we can replicate the bass with a Reese bass. What I used to do is I pitch this up an octave so it's more clear that what you're hearing. All right, and I'll match that. Oh, this is not the Reese bass. Let's go to the Reese bass. That's a match. Okay, so now that's matching, and so you can continue all the way. Depending on which part you want to use for the bass line, I picked out this part, but if you want to use the different bass lines, the same technique. But this is a little bit, you know, it's not for beginner, it's not beginner friendly. So let's try to find another way, and that is by Control L-ing that stuff. That means put it on a new mixer channel, open up Wave Candy, and then you see this right here. What we need is the spectrum. Right, and now we're gonna increase this to all the bands, make the scale a little bit higher. All right, let's see what we have. Okay, so look at that. All these highlights over here. Okay, beautiful. Stop. How do I freeze that stuff? Here, yeah. All right, so here, now over here, I don't know if you can see it, but this is D sharp. Look in the bottom over here. D sharp, and this is B2. So let's see if that matches with the Reese bass we just made. All right, so let's see if that matches. C, G, F. See? That matches. So this is also an easy way if you want to find a bass line. Oh, by the way, if you turn down the dB range all the way to the left, it will give you a better result. Alternatively, open up a new project, load up the MIDI files in the Flex, because for some reason, when I implement the MIDI files, the Flex, into my current project, it overwrites everything. So open a new project, drop the Flex with the MIDI file, and then what you can do is save score as, and you can drop it here. And then through that way, you can easily load up your bass line, or of course, the chord progression that is hidden somewhere in the MIDI file and one of these layers. But let's say you don't have the chord progression. Let's say you don't have the MIDI file. How are you going to create the chord progression for this track? And here is where it gets really tricky. And for the sake of the length of this video, I'm decided not to go too much in depth into how to create the chord progression other than asking Google the current chord progression of the tool, and then you can replicate it. Some chord progressions are really easy, but some of them are really tricky, like this one. This one says B flat minor chord. Now, what is a B flat minor chord? For a beginner, that's very hard to understand because there is no B flat minor. It's A sharp. So that's where it gets confusing. But if you want to learn more about music theory, I highly suggest browsing more on YouTube and do some level 1 or 2 theory lessons. It's going to help you tremendously. Obviously, there's our tricks here to work with chords, minor chords, and major chords, but that's still not going to solve your whole problem. So for the sake of this tutorial, we're just going to move on. I made this chord progression. And that's the end of part 1 for this tutorial. I hope you learned something. We established the foundation, everything you need in order to start a bootleg from scratch. Now, part 2 is going to be very interesting, but it is exclusive for the Uptempo and Hardcore Producer pre-orders. We're going to continue where we left off. And we're going to create a whole Uptempo Hardcore track. So check the link down below, and I will see you soon.